Hey everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Vision Mindset. If you're new to the channel, I'm so glad you found us. Here, we dive deep into personal development, Stoic philosophy, and practical insights to help you grow into the best version of yourself. Whether you're striving to unlock your potential, overcome obstacles, or simply lead a more peaceful, fulfilling life, you're in the right place. So, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Now, today's video is one that I think will resonate with many of you, especially if you've ever struggled with building or maintaining strong, respectful relationships. We all want to be treated with respect, but sometimes, without even realizing it, we engage in behaviors that can damage our relationships and cause others to lose respect for us. It's easy to point the finger at others when respect starts to fade, but it's crucial to look inward and ask ourselves, what habits am I contributing to the situation? In this video, we're going to break down 4 toxic habits that can lead to the erosion of respect in our personal and professional lives. These are habits that we've all encountered, whether within ourselves or in those around us, and if left unchecked, they can create a rift that's hard to repair. The good news is that these habits are not permanent. With intentional effort and the guidance of Stoic philosophy, we can reframe our mindset, change our behavior, and start cultivating an environment where respect flourishes naturally. We'll dive into how each of these habits affects the relationships we hold dear and explore how Stoicism, with its timeless wisdom, offers a powerful roadmap to break free from these destructive patterns. From the power of silence to the strength of self-discipline, Stoic principles can help us act with purpose and intention in every interaction. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll walk away with practical tools to not only stop these habits but to transform your life into one where respect is earned and freely given. But before we get into it, I want to remind you, if you're enjoying the content so far, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It helps others find the content and it motivates me to continue creating videos that add value to your journey. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that too. It's free, and it ensures that you're always up to date with the latest videos. And, of course, if you know someone who could benefit from this message, don't hesitate to share it with them. We're all on this journey together. So, without further delay, let's explore the first habit that can quickly cause people to lose respect for you, and how you can take control and turn things around. 1. Gossiping. Let's dive into the first habit that can seriously damage your relationships and cause people to lose respect for you. Gossiping. I'm sure we've all experienced it, whether we've been the one doing the gossiping, heard it from others, or even been the subject of it ourselves. Gossiping is a habit that can be easy to fall into, especially when we're trying to fit in or bond with others. It may seem harmless at first, but over time, it can have a devastating impact on the trust and respect that others have for us. When you gossip, you're essentially discussing someone else's personal matters or shortcomings in a negative or judgmental way, often behind their back. The problem with this is that it breeds negativity. It creates a toxic environment where trust is slowly chipped away, and the more you engage in gossip, the more you erode the sense of security that people feel when interacting with you. People begin to wonder, if they talk about others like this, what do they say about me when I'm not around? That doubt lingers, and before long, you've lost their trust and respect. But it's not just about the people you're gossiping about, it's also about how it reflects on you. When you engage in gossip, you're showing a lack of integrity. You're lowering your standards, and you're choosing to focus on the flaws and weaknesses of others rather than striving for personal growth. From a Stoic perspective, this is a failure to live in accordance with virtue. As Stoics, we aim to live with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Gossip contradicts all of those qualities. Instead of lifting others up, it tears them down, which ultimately lowers your own moral standing. The Stoics teach us to focus on the things we can control, our actions, thoughts, and responses. Gossiping is the antithesis of that. We cannot control what others do or say, but we can control how we respond and how we choose to engage with others. If you find yourself in a conversation where gossip is happening, ask yourself, am I contributing to something that builds others up or tears them down? If the answer is the latter, it's time to stop. Now, how do we stop this habit? First and foremost, we must recognize the power of our words. Words have a significant impact, both on others and on ourselves. So, when you feel the urge to gossip, take a step back and consider the consequences. Rather than speaking negatively about someone, try to redirect the conversation to something positive. If you catch yourself starting to gossip, pause and ask yourself, what would a person of character do in this situation? Instead of talking about others, talk about ideas. Instead of tearing someone down, lift them up with praise or redirect the conversation to something that contributes positively to the group. You don't have to engage in gossip to fit in, and you don't have to lower your standards to feel accepted. In fact, staying true to your values and leading by example will earn you more respect than you can imagine. At the end of the day, gossiping isn't just about damaging relationships, it's also about betraying your own principles. If we truly wish to live a dignified life and earn the respect of others, we must rise above petty talk and focus on uplifting, constructive conversations. This is the Stoic way. By practicing self-discipline and being mindful of our words, we can cultivate trust and respect, not just in others, but in ourselves as well. So, next time you're tempted to engage in gossip, take a deep breath, remind yourself of the impact your words can have, and choose to rise above it. It's a simple yet powerful shift that will transform your relationships and your reputation for the better. 2. Being unreliable. Now, let's talk about a habit that can slowly destroy your reputation and the respect people have for you. Being unreliable. At first glance, it may not seem as toxic as gossiping or complaining, but being unreliable can have just as much, if not more, of an impact on your relationships and your credibility. Think about it. How many times have you or someone else made promises, commitments, or agreements, only for those promises to go unfulfilled? If this becomes a pattern, people will begin to view you as someone they can't count on. When you're unreliable, it creates a sense of uncertainty and frustration in those around you. Whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, or even casual interactions, people need to know they can depend on you. When you fail to meet deadlines, back out of plans, or leave others hanging, it communicates that you don't value their time or commitment. This subtle disrespect can cause relationships to deteriorate over time because trust is the foundation of any connection. From a Stoic standpoint, being unreliable is a sign of weak character. The Stoics placed a high value on integrity and living a life of virtue. For them, one's word was sacred. If you said you would do something, you did it, no excuses. This unwavering commitment to your word is one of the cornerstones of earning respect. When you act with integrity, others will know that they can rely on you, not just for your actions, but for your word as well. One of the key Stoic principles that can help you combat unreliability is the idea of amor fati, or the love of fate. What this means is that we should accept everything that happens in our lives, both the challenges and the opportunities, as part of our journey. When we make a commitment, we accept responsibility for it fully, no matter the circumstances. If something unexpected comes up, it's not an excuse to back out, but an opportunity to demonstrate resilience and problem solving. In Stoicism, the focus is on responding to life with grace and perseverance, especially when things don't go according to plan. So, how can we stop being unreliable? The first step is to start viewing your commitments differently. Instead of seeing them as optional or temporary, treat them as promises that you've made, and take them seriously. Every time you say yes to something, whether it's a small favor or a big project, ask yourself if you truly have the time, energy, and resources to follow through. If not, it's better to decline than to risk leaving others in the lurch. The Stoics often speak about controlling what is in our power and letting go of what is not. If you take on too much, you're setting yourself up for failure, and you're likely to disappoint others in the process. Another way to address unreliability is by practicing preparation. This is the Stoic concept of setting yourself up for success by planning and organizing your commitments in advance. Instead of waiting until the last minute, break down your tasks into manageable chunks, and set yourself up for success by prioritizing what's most important. When you're clear about what needs to be done and give yourself ample time to complete it, you'll find that you're more likely to follow through and avoid letting others down. Moreover, you need to take responsibility when you do fall short. Nobody is perfect, and there will be times when things slip through the cracks or unforeseen circumstances arise. The important thing is to own up to it. When you miss a deadline or fail to keep your commitment, take immediate responsibility, apologize if necessary, and offer a solution to make things right. This accountability shows maturity and builds trust, even in the face of mistakes. Finally, start small and build up your reliability. If you struggle with being dependable, begin by taking on smaller commitments and practicing consistency. For example, if you agree to meet someone at a specific time, show up early. If you commit to a task, complete it with care and on time. Over time, these small wins will help you develop a reputation as someone who can be trusted and relied upon, not just by others, but also by yourself. Being reliable isn't just about meeting external expectations, it's about building your internal character. When you live up to your promises, you not only gain the respect of others, but you also cultivate a sense of pride and integrity in yourself. It aligns with the Stoic idea of living in accordance with virtue and becoming someone who embodies the values they uphold. So, the next time you make a promise or a commitment, remember to treat it with the seriousness it deserves. When you do, you'll not only earn respect but also demonstrate your own strength of character. 3. Interrupting others. Now, let's move on to another habit that can seriously harm your relationships and the respect people have for you. Interrupting others. This might seem like a minor issue, but when you constantly interrupt someone during a conversation, it signals a lack of respect for the other person's thoughts and opinions. It's a behavior that can leave people feeling unheard, disrespected, and frustrated. But even if you don't intend to be disrespectful, the simple act of interrupting can cause a breakdown in communication, leading to a loss of trust and respect. From a Stoic perspective, interrupting others is a failure to practice the key virtue of temperance or self-control. When we interrupt, we're often prioritizing our own need to be heard over the other person's need to speak. In doing so, we're showing a lack of self-discipline, choosing to express our thoughts impulsively instead of listening attentively. This is not only a poor way to communicate, but it also goes against the Stoic idea of being mindful of our actions and their impact on others. The Stoics believed that we should exercise control over our emotions and impulses. When we interrupt, it's often a knee-jerk reaction driven by impatience or an urge to be acknowledged. But instead of acting on these impulses, we can train ourselves to pause and practice self-control. In fact, the Stoics taught that true wisdom comes not just from speaking but from listening, attentively and without rushing to reply. By practicing deep listening, we give others the space to express themselves fully, which leads to more thoughtful and meaningful conversations. Interrupting can also stem from a lack of patience or an inability to let the other person finish their point before jumping in. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a conversation, especially when you're passionate about a topic or eager to share your thoughts. However, this behavior can often be perceived as rude or dismissive. People may begin to feel like they're not valued or that their ideas don't matter as much as your own, and this can damage relationships. One of the best ways to overcome this habit is by practicing active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing what someone is saying, it's about truly understanding and processing their words before responding. This requires patience and a willingness to set aside your own thoughts in order to give the speaker your full attention. A simple but effective technique is to wait a few seconds after the other person finishes speaking before responding. This pause gives you time to reflect on their words and consider your response thoughtfully, which can lead to a deeper, more respectful exchange. Another way to curb the habit of interrupting is to be mindful of your body language. Often, our tendency to interrupt is not just verbal but also nonverbal. We may start leaning in, making gestures, or showing signs of impatience while the other person is talking. These cues can indicate that we're not fully engaged in the conversation or that we're already thinking about our response rather than actively listening. By consciously relaxing your body and focusing on the speaker, you can demonstrate that you value their input and are fully present in the conversation. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of mastering our reactions and thoughts. Interrupting is often a reaction to our own internal dialogue, our eagerness to speak or our desire to prove a point. The Stoics encourage us to acknowledge these impulses but not let them dictate our behavior. By practicing awareness of our emotions and taking a moment to pause before responding, we can regain control over our actions and communicate with greater respect and mindfulness. If you find yourself interrupting frequently, try to implement a simple rule. One thought, one turn. This means that when you're in a conversation, you allow each person to express their full thought before responding. This rule can help you break the cycle of interrupting and develop a more thoughtful and respectful way of engaging with others. In addition, remember that listening is a skill that can be cultivated with practice. It's not about waiting for your turn to speak, but truly being present with what the other person is saying and showing genuine interest in their perspective. This approach leads to deeper connections, mutual respect, and more meaningful conversations. When you listen actively, you demonstrate empathy and emotional intelligence, which are qualities that naturally draw respect from others. The ability to listen without interrupting is also a way to practice the Stoic principle of humility. By giving others the space to speak, you acknowledge that their thoughts and experiences are just as valuable as your own. It's a recognition that wisdom isn't just about speaking your truth, but also about learning from others. When you embrace this mindset, you shift from a self-centered perspective to a more balanced and respectful approach to communication. Ultimately, interrupting others is a behavior that can be changed with mindfulness, patience, and practice. By exercising self-control, focusing on active listening, and demonstrating humility, you can turn this habit around and cultivate stronger, more respectful relationships. Remember, the Stoics teach us that our actions and reactions are within our control, and it's up to us to choose how we respond to the world around us. If we want to build meaningful connections and earn respect, we must first learn to listen with intention and speak with wisdom. 4. Complaining. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most common, yet detrimental habits we all tend to fall into at times. Complaining. While it might seem like a harmless way to express frustration or vent about a bad situation, chronic complaining can slowly erode the respect others have for you. When you're constantly focused on what's wrong with your life, your work, or the people around you, it not only drains your own energy, but it can also leave others feeling weary and unwilling to engage with you. Complaining becomes a toxic cycle that not only hurts relationships but also prevents you from taking the steps needed to change your circumstances. From a Stoic perspective, complaining is an outward expression of dissatisfaction with things outside of our control. The Stoics believed that we should focus only on what we can control, the way we think and react to situations. Anything outside of our control, including the actions of others, the state of the world, or even the weather, is not something worth complaining about. Complaining about these uncontrollable factors goes against the Stoic principle of acceptance. It's a sign that we are failing to align our mindset with the reality of the world around us. We cannot control everything that happens, but we can control how we respond to it. In Stoicism, there's a key concept known as amor fati, which means love of fate. This principle encourages us to embrace every moment, whether good or bad, as necessary and purposeful. When you practice amor fati, you stop resisting what's happening in your life and start accepting it as part of your journey. This doesn't mean you have to like everything that happens, but it means you learn to see challenges and obstacles as opportunities for growth. Complaining, on the other hand, keeps us trapped in a state of resistance. It prevents us from seeing the lessons hidden within our difficulties and robs us of the opportunity to grow from adversity. We've all experienced moments when things aren't going the way we want them to. Maybe a project at work isn't progressing, or a personal relationship is going through a rough patch. It's natural to feel frustrated or disappointed, but when we allow ourselves to slip into a habitual pattern of complaining, we start to focus all of our energy on the negative. This not only worsens our own mindset, but it can also alienate the people around us. No one wants to be around someone who constantly sees the glass as half empty, and over time, this negativity can push people away and damage our social connections. The impact of complaining doesn't just affect those around us, it also impacts our own mental and emotional well-being. When we complain, we reinforce a victim mindset. We tell ourselves that we are powerless in the face of challenges, that circumstances are beyond our control, and that we have no agency in improving our situation. But this is far from the truth. Complaining keeps us stuck in a cycle of helplessness. It prevents us from taking the initiative to find solutions and work toward positive change. By constantly dwelling on the problems, we become less likely to take action and more likely to stay in a state of frustration and defeat. So, how do we break free from this toxic habit? The first step is to shift our focus from what's wrong to what's within our power to change. When we stop complaining about external circumstances, we open ourselves up to the possibility of improving our situation. Instead of complaining about a difficult project, for example, ask yourself, What can I do to make this situation better? What steps can I take to move forward? This mindset shift allows us to approach challenges with a sense of agency and empowerment, which naturally leads to a greater sense of self-respect and respect from others. One powerful technique to stop complaining is to practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, take a moment each day to reflect on what's going well in your life. What are you grateful for? What achievements, big or small, have you accomplished recently? Shifting your focus to gratitude not only improves your mindset but also transforms your relationships. When you express gratitude, it becomes contagious. People will begin to appreciate your positive outlook and feel more inclined to engage with you in a meaningful way. Gratitude opens the door to positive energy and stronger connections. Another helpful Stoic practice is journaling. The Stoics believed in the power of writing to reflect on our thoughts and actions. When you find yourself complaining, write down the situation that's causing your frustration, and then ask yourself, what's in my control? What can I do to make things better? How can I change my perspective? By putting your thoughts on paper, you gain clarity and create space for new solutions. This exercise helps you step outside the emotions of the moment and gain perspective, making it easier to respond with wisdom rather than reacting impulsively. The Stoics also teach us to focus on the bigger picture. Complaining often arises from a narrow perspective. We fixate on one thing that's not going our way and let it consume us. But life is full of ups and downs, and most problems are temporary. When we zoom out and take a broader view, we can see that one setback is just a small part of the larger journey. This shift in perspective helps us to accept challenges as part of life and to approach them with resilience and a sense of purpose. Lastly, remember that change starts with you. If you want to stop complaining and foster greater respect in your relationships, you need to lead by example. When you stop complaining and start taking responsibility for your own actions, others will take notice. Your positive attitude will inspire those around you to do the same, creating a ripple effect of growth and positivity. People will naturally respect you more when they see you taking ownership of your life and facing challenges with strength and grace. Breaking the habit of complaining is not easy, but it is entirely possible. It requires a shift in mindset, a willingness to embrace discomfort, and a commitment to taking action instead of dwelling on problems. By adopting Stoic principles like acceptance, gratitude, and self-reflection, you can stop complaining and start living a more empowered, respectful life. Remember, as the Stoics remind us, we cannot control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 4 habits that can lead to losing respect and how to stop them, all through the lens of Stoic philosophy. By working on eliminating these toxic behaviors, gossiping, being unreliable, interrupting others, and complaining, you're not only improving how others view you, but you're also strengthening your own sense of self-respect and personal growth. Remember, respect is earned, and it starts with how we treat others and how we show up for ourselves. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control everything in life, but we can control our actions, thoughts, and responses. By aligning ourselves with these principles, we create an inner strength that naturally radiates outward, earning the respect of those around us. It's not about being perfect, but about striving for constant improvement and learning from our mistakes. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these habits do you struggle with the most? How has Stoicism helped you in your journey to earn respect, both from yourself and others? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'm looking forward to reading them and continuing the conversation with you. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from this message. We're all on this journey together, so let's continue to grow, improve, and live with purpose. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong, stay respectful, and keep embracing your journey with Stoic wisdom. This is Beyond Vision Mindset, signing off.